I just spotted a goof. Hello, everybody. I was just introducing myself to myself because when you do things that are live, and welcome everybody to the Live Speaking Summit, sometimes things don't always go the way that we want them to go. We always want to be perfect, but here in the Speaker Academy, we know that it's imperfectly perfect. And I was just introducing myself and these speakers to all of you whilst we weren't even live. Oh my goodness me, look at that. So now we're here. My apologies for keeping you guys waiting, but thank you for waiting so patiently. We have people all over the world, and you guys in the audience, you are a part of what we're doing here today, because your energy, your enthusiasm, your support, your love is what is going to make these speakers feel seen, heard, and understood today. So we already have a ton of text in the chat, and I won't go through all again, but we got Mexico, we got Netherlands, we got Philly, we got South Africa, we've got Portugal. We have a global audience here to witness something incredible. The Speaking Summit. 3 incredible speakers who 8 weeks ago started a journey to become impact makers, to share their hearts with open vulnerability in order to change lives and change the world. So I appreciate every single one of you today in the chat who has come here, who's going to support them. So keep the chats coming. If you see something that you love, if you see something that makes you inspired, if you get an insight from any of our speakers today, then drop it in the chat, because maybe you noticed something that the rest of the audience didn't. Maybe you want to write that to remind yourself of that incredible insight that could well be a transformation for you. Because single one of our speakers today is an expert in their field. And these guys really know what they're talking about. This is a lifelong pursuit of excellence, which is about to be uncorked today for all of you. And they're going to be letting their hearts shine as their authentic selves, not as speakers that they want to be, but as speakers that they already are. And in the last 8 weeks, they've found their place on this incredible stage. So I just want to say to you guys, please keep the chats coming. And whilst we do have 3 incredible speakers, this isn't just about speaking. This is about transformation. So you're going to witness the transformation today. And maybe, just maybe, there is someone somewhere inside you who seeks this level of transformation. And maybe you want to be a speaker on this stage in one of our future academies, because speaking is for everyone. It's just about having the courage and the heart to let yourself shine in front of everyone. So I want to encourage everybody in the audience not to just sit back and listen, because when we engage in knowledge and learning and the incredible speeches that our speakers are going to share today, then we transform. So how can you make this experience even better for yourself? Well, the first thing is take notes like crazy as you listen. Make notes on the things that you're learning, on the way that these speakers are presenting today, because there is a ton of gold that you can learn about what these speakers are talking about and how they're presenting today. And write it like you're going to teach somebody else, so that you can integrate this into your mind in multiple different places instead of just seeing it once. How you make it fun? Well, public speaking is fun. It's the #1 fear of mankind, but in the academy, we love to make it fun. And when you notice these speakers today, you'll see all of them will be smiling, because in the academy, we love to present. We love public speaking. And so give them your energy, give them your support, give them your love, and their smiles will get even bigger. So whether it's dropping an emoji or a comment, keep the chat going, because these guys can see every word that you're saying, and it gives them even more fuel to perform. And finally, how can you make this impactful for yourself? Maybe you want to share this with a friend. Maybe you know somebody else who needs to unleash their inner speaker. Well, maybe you could invite them. Maybe you could share this on your socials. Maybe one insight that you're going to hear today is going to be the one thing that someone that you love really needs to hear for them to transform. So put a yes in the chat if you are ready for us to start the Speaking Summit and to introduce our first speaker onto the stage. Let me see you go and light up the chat with a yes if you're ready to see these guys in action. Let's see. Yeah, create my new future. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Yes, we're ready to go. Sean, I'm not bad myself, but you're all amazing. Yes, these speakers are amazing today. And you guys in the audience, you're all amazing too. So, without further ado, let's welcome to the stage our first speaker. This is Anya Holzman. Now, Anya is quirky, challenging. These are her own words, by the way. I'm not making it up, but knowing her, she's thoughtful, sensitive, deeply warm and loving. And what I love most about Anya is she is relentless in her pursuit of the things that matter most to her, which is helping others. She's become an expert in neurodiversity, first to understand her children, and then to understand herself. And from that loving care that she gave to herself and family, she's realized that the world is full of undiagnosed neurodivergent people who are suffering needlessly. So she's going to share with us her passion about the joy, the beauty, and the advantage of those brains that are wired maybe just a little bit differently to ours. So, sharing from the stage, Design, Not Defect, Unraveling the Incompetency Myth of Neurodivergence. Help me to welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing Anya Holzman. Anya, the stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Luke. It's so great to be here. I am uncorking. Okay, so I'd love for you guys to put a 1 in the chat if this resonates with you. Have you ever been doing something that you genuinely thought was the same thing as everyone else, and then somehow still ended up as the outlier? Put a 1 in the chat if that resonates. I am seeing some 1s there. It looks like I'm not the only one who this concerns. So let's get curious about that for a moment. You may already know that a beehive doesn't survive because every bee is the same. It survives because there are different kinds of bees, each type with a different role. Some forage, some scout, some guard, and some care for the young. The hive doesn't ask them to be interchangeable. It relies on them to be different. For a long time, I didn't know that this was true for humans too. And not knowing that cost me years of trying to fit into places that were never designed for me. When you look more closely at a hive, something fascinating happens. Only about 20% of bees are scouts and foragers. Curious, right? They leave the safety of the known world. They explore new territory. They notice patterns. They find what the hive needs next. And here's the beautiful parallel. Only about 20, in fact, I'm saying only, but it's actually maybe 20 to 30% of humans are neurodivergent. And by neurodivergent, by the way, I mean people whose brains work differently from the majority, not better, not worse, just differently. Certainly not broken and not defective, but wired differently. Wired to notice patterns others miss, to think laterally, to feel deeply, to question systems, to explore new possibilities. In other words, we neurodivergent humans are the scouts of the human hive. And what's remarkable is that this isn't unique to bees. Nature rarely puts all of its eggs in one basket. It keeps variation alive at the edges. And this, in fact, is what we call biodiversity. So this difference isn't a task. It isn't a responsibility. It simply means that life isn't dependent on one way of being. And this is where a reframe changed everything for me. You don't need a big brain to create big intelligence. You need a collective. A hive isn't intelligent because of one exceptional bee. It's intelligent because of how different roles connect and communicate. Human intelligence works the same way. When you zoom out across history, this pattern becomes even clearer. Differently wired minds have shaped every era of human progress. If you think about it, Da Vinci, Einstein, Alan Turing, Emily Dickinson, the author, Temple Grandin, Greta Thunberg. They didn't succeed they didn't succeed despite their neurodivergence. They succeeded because of it. And what made their impact possible wasn't isolated brilliance. It was that their different ways of seeing could connect into the wider system and be taken up by others and change how we all think, live, and organize. Which brings me to something a little more personal. Let me take you back to the mid-1990s. Yes, I am giving up my age here. I'm a teenager, a young teenager, and homework has become a complete and total and utter nightmare for me. Not because I don't like learning. I love learning, and I've always been insatiably curious, wanting to understand how the world works. And certainly not because I'm lazy or uninterested. The problem really lays in the homework questions. They are often broad, open-ended, and unspecific. And for my brain, that is overwhelming. I can see so many possible ways to answer, so many connections, so many angles that I don't know where to start or where to stop. I spend hours trying to work out what the right answer is, trying to narrow it down, trying to contain everything I know into something small enough to hand in. And after a couple of hours, my dear mum comes in and she asks me, "Is everything okay?" At which point the floodgates open and I shout at her, "I can't do this. It doesn't make any sense." I am distraught, crying my eyes out. And my mum does her best to help, but I end up shouting at her, "You don't understand anything," and continue with my meltdown. Now, this happens again and again, and eventually a belief begins to form. It's not, I don't like learning, and it's not even school is stupid. But somehow what I make it mean is this: there's something wrong with me. However, what I understand now is this, that my mind wasn't failing. The system was just too narrow to hold it. I was seeing patterns and possibilities and connections far beyond what the task was designed to hold. And that same expansive curiosity, the thing that made school so hard, is also the foundation of my work today. It's what makes me a great listener, a natural coach, a strong problem solver, someone who can see systems, connections, and underlying patterns others easily miss. It was, in fact, these strengths that helped me to stand out from 2,000 applicants to be one of the 24 people hired to work as an in-house coach for Tony Robbins, who's arguably one of the most famous coaches in the world. I was never broken. I was just trying to fit a scout mind into a very narrow box. The thing about that belief, though, the idea that something is wrong with you, is that it doesn't disappear when you grow up. I'm sure quite a few of you can resonate with that. It follows you into your adulthood. I'm going to go back to 2007 now. I'm 27 years old. I've been bold and I've applied for a job that I'm totally unqualified for. It's within the division of the Times Supplements Limited, an offshoot of the Times newspaper. And they like me so much that they create a role especially for me, and they give me a great salary and clearly show their belief in my potential. Can you imagine how proud my mum was of me at this point? All those hours of sitting with me and my meltdowns have finally paid off. And yet, 12 months later, the conversation I'm having with my line manager goes like this. Anya, you're dropping the ball, making mistakes, and speaking disrespectfully to your superiors. Yep. I was being performance managed out. Can you imagine hearing that? I was always the one who was trying to do their best, be a good girl, not fail. And yet here I am failing at an epic level, or at least that's how it feels for me. But the dominant feeling isn't anger or confusion. It's shame. Shame that I can't keep up. Shame that simple tasks aren't simple for me. And shame that I'm failing as an adult. Shame has been the biggest thing that I've needed to work on since understanding that I am neurodivergent. Because what I see now is this. I wasn't failing. I was misaligned. I was a scout being judged by worker bee standards. And shame isn't a neurodivergent trait. Shame is misunderstanding turned inward. When difference is treated as a problem, we start to believe that we are the problem. But the problem was never our brains. Once I understood my neurodivergence, something shifted in me. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, I began to ask a different question. The question is, what's interesting about this? Or in other words, what can I learn from this? So when something drains me, what's interesting about this? What is it specifically that drained me about this? Or when something lights me up, what's interesting about this? What was it that lit me up here? What was it? And if I feel overwhelmed, what's interesting about this? What is it that I can see here that is causing this feeling of overwhelm? Curiosity turns experience into data, not self-blame. And this makes sense when you remember the scouts. Their job isn't to be efficient or predictable. Their job is to explore, to notice, to follow what's interesting. Curiosity is how scout minds navigate the world. And when we replace shame with curiosity, we reconnect to our design. So let's come back to the hive. In a hive, not every bee does the same thing, and none of them need to apologize for their role. Some bees explore, some maintain, some respond, and some sustain. The hive doesn't ask them to be something else. It doesn't ask them to justify their existence. It simply depends on difference being allowed to exist. By the way, knowing which kind of bee you are doesn't give you a mission. It gives you permission. Permission to stop trying to fit into systems that were never designed for you. Permission to stop treating your way of thinking as a problem to be fixed. Permission to recognize yourself as part of a wider pattern and not an anomaly. If you've been listening to this and think, this explains a lot, then you're not alone. There are many of us, and together this way of being makes sense. Nothing about you needs correcting. It needs context. And when you finally have that context, shame has nowhere left to live.
Wow, absolutely incredible, Anya. We love it. I love it. All about the being. How did it feel for you to give that presentation?
Oh, it was wonderful. And I really appreciated all the lovely comments in the comment box.
Yeah, they were just coming all the way through. Lots of people in the beehive. A lot of people out there, I think, feeling like, yes, I'm a scout. I think maybe people were seeing, maybe I have some neurodivergence. Maybe I'm a scout bee. Maybe I fit into a different part of the world. Lots of I hate homework, lots of fans of Tony, and lots of fans of your questions. And we're still going. We're still going. So much love in the chat for you. So
yeah, I really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You did amazing, and you have changed lives here and transformed. How can people find out more about you, Anya? How can they get in touch with you if they want to know more about understanding their scout nature?
The easiest way is through my website, anyaholzman.com, and everything is there. I'm also on LinkedIn and on Instagram, Anya Holzman.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Anya. We love it. Okay, that was incredible. Now, have a think to yourself, what moment really hit you during Anya's talk? What was the most transformational moment for you? And what would you love to share with a loved one about what you learned from Anya, so that her transformation can be the transformation for others as well? And if you want to reach out to her, anyaholzman.com. Beautiful. So now we are going to be bringing another speaker up, and it's not her first time to this stage. She's actually shared with us before, but she's coming back with even more passion and professionalism and purpose to share even more impact. And who is it, I hear you ask? Well, this is Charlene. And before I bring Charlene up to the stage, I want to know who here wants to be more healthy, more vital, more energetic. Because Charlene is the founder of Core Spring and Nutrition. She's a gut health specialist. She's a nationally certified Pilates expert and the owner of 2 patents on her incredible technology called Core Spring. And Core Spring is a patented Pilates-inspired apparatus that revolutionizes wellness and fitness so you can live pain-free. And she's just so incredible. She has so much beautiful energy. So please help me to welcome Charlene Huss to the stage, everybody. Charlene, so great to see you.
Thank you, Luke. Great to be here. This speech was amazing.
The stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Think about it. What if the reason so many people work hard on their health and still live with pain isn't because they're doing the wrong things, but because they're working with the wrong model of the body? Most of us were taught to think of the body as a mechanical object, something made of parts that wear out, break down, and need to be fixed. But modern physics tells a different story. What we experience as the human body is overwhelmingly energy, and only a small percentage mass or physical. Think about that. Yet most fitness and rehab systems still treat the body as if it's 100% mechanical. This mismatch explains why so many people are strong, disciplined, and still in pain. I had back pain as a young child. By the time I was about 11 or 12, I noticed something. Swimming made my body feel better. My back felt better. But when I couldn't swim, I started experimenting, simple movement, stretching, exercises with books and magazines. I grew up in Los Angeles. It wasn't hard to find. Around the same age, I fell in love with Shakespeare. I watched Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, and I decided I was going to read that book. And it took weeks. And when I finished, I remember I put my head back on my pillow and I thought, I didn't understand anything I just read, but I knew it was English, which meant I could learn it. So very early on, I learned 3 things. Movement could change how I felt. Language could change how I understood. And being human absolutely fascinated me. Later, I didn't choose to study acting. I chose psychology. But not because I wanted to diagnose people, but because I wanted to understand what makes us think, feel, behave, and change. I was especially interested in the relationship between mind and body, but I kept noticing something missing. We talked about thoughts, we talked about emotions, we talked about a lot of things, but we rarely talked about the body as a primary source of information. That was my experience. That was the way I learned things. So it was my point of view. So that psychological paradigm felt incomplete. As an undergrad, I wrote a paper about how discoveries in quantum physics were going to change psychological paradigms. I was 20. When I met with my professor, he looked at me and said, "Where did you get this idea?" I said, "From conversations in the quad." He said, "From the quad?" And I told him about the informal rivalry on campus. Physics students were convinced physics explained everything. Philosophy students thought philosophy did. And psychology students were trying to understand humans. And one of my friends, a math and physics major, said, "You should read the Tao of Physics. That'll fix you right up." But I did read it, and something clicked. If we're mostly energy, which is what the Taoists believe, and was being proven with quantum physics discoveries, then we're not just the sum of our parts. We're not fixed. We're far more adaptable than we've been taught to believe. At the time, that felt theoretical, but think about it. Now the words meditation and manifestation are common in the realm of psychological possibilities, right? Also, while I was an undergrad, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. Finally, I had a reason why my back hurt. Remember, pain was a constant companion. And until I felt free in my body, I didn't feel psychologically free. I didn't feel creatively free. I didn't feel fully myself. A lot of things happened after graduating. I lived in Europe and traveled the world, exercised all over the world, being me. And somewhere along the way, I found Pilates. And Pilates was the first thing that didn't just feel like exercise. It felt like organization. Like my body was learning a language. As my body changed, my childhood love of classical acting felt closer within my realm of possibilities. Ultimately, I auditioned and was accepted to one of the top drama schools in England. I studied there, got an agent, worked as an actor. Not because I fixed my spine, but because my body became more trustworthy. That became my compass. If something helps me express myself more fully, it's on to something. Early in my teaching career as a Pilates teacher, for example, I was just about to start a class and I asked if anyone had any questions. And a woman said, "There's one movement, an exercise, I don't really understand." And she tried to explain it, but I didn't get it. So she got frustrated and she laid down on the floor and did the movement, which was called the roll-up. And then said, "That one, I can't do that one." And I looked around and I said, "Did anyone see what I just saw?" And someone said, "Yeah, she just did the thing she says she can't do." That moment brought so much of myself. So it changed my approach to teaching completely, because I realized often our capacity is already there, even when we're convinced it isn't. What's missing is the right conversation, maybe learning the right words. And one thing that also got my attention about Pilates, and specifically, were the springs. And I realized something interesting from my background in physics and studying it sort of anecdotally throughout my life. I knew springs store and release energy, but what I didn't realize was that I was being only taught indirect spring work, how to work with indirect, something that's hooked up, springs attached to apparatus. One day a student of mine said, "Why can't I get my own spring?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "A spring that I can use anywhere." And the question stopped me because I realized I had never seen that before. So we built one. And the first time I felt that direct spring resistance move through my body, I knew it was so different. Now, Pilates had taken me about 85% of the way to pain-free. And I thought that was good enough, like most of us. Almost immediately, this little apparatus took me to a new level of pain-free, not because it fixed me, but because it taught my system how to organize itself even more intelligently than what I had already learned. That became the core spring apparatus, and the apparatus helped me understand a new method. A method is an approach and not just a series of exercises. I'll give you a great example. Last year, I was traveling through the Australian outback on a train, 9 days, tiny bunk bed. I woke up one morning with a severe crick in my neck. You know, when you're traveling. And I had an e-bike excursion planned for that day. I spent about 20 minutes thinking, well, I probably can't go. I can't ride a bike with this. I'd never ridden an e-bike. And then I caught myself. I thought, wait, you have core spring. Just use it. I did the neck protocol, an exercise that I created years before. And about 3 minutes later, the pain was gone completely. I went on the excursion, had one of the best days of my life in the Australian outback. And what struck me was this. Even I, after years of doing this work, almost gave up an experience of a lifetime because of pain or fear. Now that's real flexibility, that I didn't have to do that. Today, I help people live pain-free lives through optimal movement, education, and conditioning using direct spring resistance. Because aging is inevitable, but what if decline is optional? I'm pain-free today when I was in pain and uncomfortable in my 20s. When you're not living in pain, you have choice to move, choice to explore, choice to say yes to life. The body is not broken, it's intelligent. I strive to work with what works with the body's capacity, the energy, the language that accelerates real change, particularly with posture. The energy that's unleashed with healthy posture is astounding and an absolute obsession, as you can tell. So change the model and you change what's possible completely. Thank you.
Wow. Unbelievable, Charlene. That was incredible. Thank you for sharing so much wisdom about what the body is capable under the right circumstances. How did that feel for you?
It felt great. I mean, I can't tell you how many iterations of this talk and stories, so many stories. But it was good to make just hone in on why I came up with it and how now just like psychological paradigms, physical paradigms are becoming more impacted by the understanding of energy. And springs help.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you're so passionate. I felt how connected you are to this mission and how important it is for people to know that there is an alternative to living in pain and creating this abundant energy that you speak about. If people want to know more, how can they find out? How can they connect with you, Charlene, after this event?
They can go to CoreSpring.com and find out ways to interact with me. I'm also on Facebook at CoreSpring. Please follow me. It's just great. And at the CoreSpring on Instagram. And CoreSpring and Charlene Heston-Konya on LinkedIn.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, there was so much content going in the chat. I don't know whether you saw it, Charlene, but there's so much love for you. Standing ovation, change the model. I'm sitting here in pain thinking, I don't have to be in pain. How does it feel to know that just even in the chat, we've already got transformation coming from this?
Yay, that's what it's all about for me.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Charlene.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to see where you go next from this. So let's move on now to our final speaker, who is somebody who really has run the gamut. When I say gamut, do people know what that means? Really had a very, very journey from one end to the other of the business spectrum, starting as an accountant, all about numbers and the engine of the business in decision-making, going through being an incredibly creative artist and actually winning awards for her incredible creativity, all the way through to then building a business community that embodied all of the things that she feels are absolutely important to her and to her clients and to the businesses that she works with, so that they can create businesses that they feel that they can come home to. And she's just an incredible speaker. She has so much to inspire us all with. So I really want to ask you to help me to welcome to the stage the incredible Beirut Thomas with her unbelievable talk now, which is You Deserve a Business That Feels Like a Home. So take it away, Beirut. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction. Who here truly loves the work they do? And who here sometimes feels like their business doesn't love them back? That gap between loving your work and feeling held back by your business is exactly what we're here to talk about today. Because most of the time, you don't need more motivation. You just need stability without losing your soul. I know this gap well because last year I sat in my car outside my beautiful own studio, and I remember thinking, I don't want to go in. Not because business was bad, it was actually booming, but because something didn't feel right anymore. From the outside, everything looked successful. My studio was full. My books looked great. People just kept telling me how well I was doing. But inside, I felt like I had drifted so far away from my vision that my business felt alien to me. And when you no longer recognize the dream you worked so hard to build, you know something needs to change. I created Studio B for like-minded hair and beauty professionals to come together, to create real community, a place where we support each other, encourage each other, and genuinely want each other to succeed. A space without competition, a space that feels welcome, warm, and safe. My favorite saying has always been, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Studio B was never just a workplace. It was meant to feel like home. But as the studio grew, cracks started to appear. The atmosphere began to change. Instead of one connected community, small groups started to form. The sense of togetherness slowly faded. What once felt like a sleepy village started to feel more like busy, buzzing metropolis. And with that growth came chaos. The warmth disappeared, the welcoming energy disappeared. The studio no longer felt calm, intentional, or aligned. And the worst thing, it didn't feel like my studio anymore. I couldn't recognize the dream I had built. The first emotion that hit me was disconnection, a deep sense of being disconnected from my vision, my people, and myself, because I could feel that something I loved was slipping away. I went home many evenings asking myself, why? On paper, the growth made total sense, but in my heart, it didn't. And I realized something important. No one wants to walk into a space where the energy feels heavy, and especially not the person who created it. We should never, ever feel disconnected walking into the dream we worked so hard to build. That's why I found myself sitting in that car that day, not wanting to go inside. And in that moment, I knew I couldn't continue like this anymore. Something had to change. So I stopped. I went back home. I pulled out my old journals, my vision boards, and I return to the question that matters the most in business. Why did I create this in the first place? And the answer gave me instant clarity. One line that stood out to me immediately was community over competition. And suddenly everything made sense. I realized that for me, people have always been more important than numbers. That's what Studio B was built on. Community and support for self-employed professionals. And somewhere along the way, I had drifted away from that. And that's when I understood something important. This is where my background matters. Before opening Studio B, I spent years working in accountancy. Then I trained as a makeup artist and went on to become a national award-winning artist. So I lived on both sides, the numbers and the craft. And the danger of living only in one world is this. When creatives avoid numbers, they lose control. But when numbers lead without heart, they lose joy. Clarity comes when your vision leads and the numbers are there to support it. So what does clarity actually give you? Clarity gives you stability. Not because business becomes easier, but because it becomes steadier. And stability gives you freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to slow down when you need to. Freedom to build your business around your life, not another way around. That's why most of us choose self-employment in the first place. And here is the part I want to be really honest about. I didn't plan my way out of this. I decided my way out of this. Because the issue wasn't a lack of strategy. The issue was that I have drifted away from my values. Without even realizing, I started chasing money instead of people, volume instead of values. So the way back wasn't complicated. It started with one clear decision. I want my business to feel like home again. And once that decision was made, the actions were simple. I removed extra stations. I brought the reception back to the heart of the studio. I reduced the number of people, not because growth is wrong, but because misaligned growth costs you everything. But there was one more thing I had lost along the way. And one thing I knew I had to protect going forward. It was my community. Earlier, I told you about the community I dreamed of building. What I didn't understand back then was just how essential that community would become. Because community doesn't just feel nice. Community stabilizes you. It gives you perspective. It helps you make better decisions. When you are on your own, everything feels heavier. But when you are surrounded by the right people, you think more clearly, you lead better, and joy comes back naturally. Not because business is perfect, but because you are no longer doing it alone. So when I rebuilt Studio B around community again, the atmosphere changed, the energy changed. I found myself back in the same place, sitting in my car. But this time I wanted to go inside. And that's when I knew I hadn't just rebuilt a business. I had rebuilt a sense of home. You deserve a business that feels like home. Thank you.
Ooh. Wow, amazing, Barut. I love it. Such beautiful comments coming in the chat on that one. Quote after quote after quote. You were dropping wisdom bombs right from the beginning. And I want you to know that everybody really felt that. I don't know whether you saw how much was going through in the chat, but we got quote and quote and quote and quote. When numbers lead without heart, they lose joy. In community, anything is possible. Community over competition. When you can't recognize it, they just keep going. So I want you to just see how much your words have inspired everybody today. How does that feel for you right now?
Feels amazing. I can breathe again.
And what will this enable you to do now, having crossed this threshold now, to become a speaker and being transformational and the impact that you've had on everybody? What will this mean for you?
I just can't wait what's next for me. Because it's such an amazing journey. And I feel so much more confident in delivering my message. And practice, more practice. It's different level for me.
Beautiful. I love it. I just see the radiance and the passion and the joy in you, and this is what we love about you when you speak, because you're really bringing that energy that you bring into your business, into the way that you communicate with it. So thank you once again. Let's give some more love to Barut in the chat, our final speaker of today. Thank you so much, Barut. Okay, so we have come to the end of another incredible speaking summit. So I want to thank all of our speakers today. Didn't they do an incredible job? All of them to stand there to share their heart in authenticity, in vulnerability, in truth, with everybody on the screen, everybody out in the world. And they did it beautifully. And they couldn't have done it without you. So I want to give an absolutely warm thanks and appreciation to all of you who have been watching, who have been putting all of your messages in the chat, who have been playing full out, who have been giving energy and love and all of your attention and your intention towards these incredible speakers today. And I want to ask you now, at the end of this incredible event, what's one emotion that you're feeling, that you're taking away with you? Just one emotion of how you feel right now. What is that for you? You've helped us so much with your energy. I'd love you to just reflect now. How are you feeling right now? We've got wow. Wow, that's an emotion. Wow is an emotion, right? And what an emotion to be able to elicit in an audience through speaking. We've got Nielsa, energy. Yes, beautiful. You all rocked. I just love how this community supports itself and one another. And that when our speakers share, they get so much encouragement and how much impact they have. So I want to ask you one more thing. What is one thing that you, thank you. We got inspired, empowered, excited, growth, grateful. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you. And I would love to ask one more thing of you. When you reflect on everything you've heard today and everything you've written down and everything, what's one action that you're going to take? Because I want to appreciate all of you for giving your time and for showing up today in support. But I also want to encourage you that nothing changes until we take action. So if you've been inspired by something that you heard today, or one of the incredible transformational messages that any or all of our speakers have given to you, don't use it as information. Don't just use it as inspiration. Use it to fuel your own transformation, because that's what the dream and goal of all of these speakers are, to transform. Maybe it's your life. Maybe it's the life of somebody you love, but every single one of us can take one thing and allow it to transform our lives. So what's that one thing for you? What's the one thing that you're going to take act on? Maybe it's to stand up and speak yourself. Maybe it's to share with somebody that you love. Or maybe it's to go and implement a better health routine, a more community-based business. Or maybe it's the recognition that your way of thinking might be different, that maybe you're a scout and maybe you want to understand a little bit more about that. But whatever it is, leave here today feeling inspired and feeling transformed. And if you're not a part of the community, then we hope to see you again soon. And on this page, when we end this transmission, there are a number of links and resources that you can take a look at, where you can take a look at even more talks and communications and presentations and speeches that can inspire you. And maybe you want to take the step to become a next level speaker yourself. If so, we would welcome you with open arms into our community so that you can share your impact. And if you are a part of our community, then I want to invite you now. We are going to go to the back end, as we like to call it, our usual Zoom room, where we are going to have a little party, a little celebration for all of our incredible speakers today. And we are going to shower them with what we call a thanks, where we share exactly how they made us feel. And you guys have showered all of our speakers with compliments all the way through this. So thank you so much for being such a loving, supportive community. And if you're in the academy, we'll see you in just a couple of minutes. And if not, we'll see you in a community call, or we'll see you on the next speaking summit. So go away, take this transformation with you, be inspired and be inspiring, because guess what, guys? Every single one of you is amazing. We're not bad this end, but you guys, you are amazing.
One day, we'll be looking back on this and we'll say, aren't you happy that we did it our way? Everyone we knew was saying no way, but we were never listening anyway. So don't be just standing in the doorway. Don't you know we gotta hit the highway? Darling, this is gonna be a good day. And I've gotta say that I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, I'll be looking back on this and I'll say, I'm so happy that you said you would stay. There were times I know that I was crazy, fraying at the edges and you saved me. I'm losing count of chances that you gave me. You're laughing at me dancing really badly and telling me the reasons why you'd gladly do it all again. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Well, hey, words can never adequately convey everything you're giving to me today. But holding you is better than a holiday, and leaving you, I dread it like exam day. So at the risk of sounding kinda risque, everything to now has been the foreplay. Darling, I would follow you to Norway, or anywhere you want it. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Myself, but you're amazing. You're